is the House Oversight Government Reform Committee member, South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman, good morning to you. Welcome back to National Report. Thank you so much for taking the time. If I could just get your immediate reaction to that report we just heard. In your state of South Carolina, federal government owns about 4.6% of the state's total land. What do you think about these calls to put abortion clinics potentially on it?
Well, I mean, the idea is just insane. In some of our national forests or nationally protected land, you're going to put abortion clinics on them. I mean, this is the Roe v. Wade, overturning of Roe v. Wade was something that was seen for decades, even by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, even by Joe Biden, a number of others, even by Obama, right? And so the idea that they're going to put this on federal land just goes to show you how crazy Joe Biden is. And his administration and the progressive left, they have lost their minds over something that doesn't happen in most countries. If you look at socialist Europe, abortion is banned after 12 to 15 weeks on average, if you're even able to have an abortion in that country. And what they're losing their minds over is the extremities here. And I think you'll have about half the states that have some restrictions on abortion, half the states won't have any restrictions at all. Congress has a role here if they want to place restrictions or no restrictions on abortion as well. But because our country is so divided, it'll be very hard for progressives to get what they want, which is why they're looking at ways to work around the rule of law, work around the rule of the Supreme Court, and put this on federal lands if that's the case.
In your state of South Carolina, there's a law which will go into effect restricting abortion starting around 6 weeks of pregnancy. We've heard from this administration and the president himself even openly call for a carve-out of the filibuster to potentially codify Roe, essentially ensuring a woman's access to abortion, making it legal to do so in all states across the country. What do you think about that cause, and do you see that taking place?
It's hard to say. I think they might attempt it, but I doubt it will be successful. Obama had a supermajority. He had the Senate, he had the House, he had the presidency. He promised to codify Roe, and he did not. And so they've had the opportunity to do that. And now I don't think they're going to be able to do what they want to do, because it would require them to work together with Republicans. And Republicans are not going to go as far as the progressive left, who want abortion for any reason up until birth. And you've seen legislation in states like Virginia, where there was a delegate in Virginia just a few years ago trying to allow abortion up until the day of birth. And Virginia's former governor as well has said some pretty crazy comments. So, they're going to have to work with Republicans on it, and Republicans are not going to go, they're not going to go there at the federal level, how far left the progressives want to be.
I wanted to ask you about another Supreme Court ruling that we got last week. It has to do with the EPA, essentially what sort of limitations they can set. Here's Senator Elizabeth Warren. She stopped by Seth Meyers and commented on it. Here's what she had to say.
Of course.
This is a Supreme Court that is basically out of control. And they have decided that they don't like the way that we have for decades now tried to deal with climate change. This has been a very pro-corporate court, and this is actually not the first decision in that direction.
She's also called the court illegitimate. That followed the overturn of Roe. But Congresswoman, what do you make of the senator's comments there?
Irony. You know who's out of control is Senator Elizabeth Warren. The statements that she has made, how far left, that sharp turn that she has taken to call the Supreme Court illegitimate in this country, doesn't show unity in our nation right now, where we are so divided, where the president, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, are okay with protesters showing up on the lawns of Supreme Court justices, which is against the law. I don't care what side of the argument you stand on, what they're doing today to our country to divide us. Some of the rhetoric we've heard from Maxine Waters trying to encourage people to use violence. Somebody's going to get hurt, and this has got to stop. And we need adults in the room, people who are willing to stand up and be strong and follow the rule of law in this country. And you're not seeing it from these progressive senators or even from Joe Biden's administration at all.
All right. That is South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace.